Hello people, and welcome to Crypto Exposed. Okay guys, I've got a post here from Vincent Van Code, and then we've got King Solomon who's made a reply to this, and I wanted to share this because I thought this was interesting. Now look, I just want to say from the get-go, when this is originally mentioned, it's about Solana and Ripple. I don't want that to put you off because it is HBAR related, but I've got to do this post first, and then HBAR will come into the fold with King Solomon's reply. So don't think that I'm just secretly trying to get XRP content into here. It is something where I will be bringing HBAR into it in the relevance shortly after. So Vincent Van Code said, Solana and Ripple often get compared, but they're built for totally different worlds. Solana is built for speed and apps. It's like a super fast computer for crypto. Great for trading, DeFi, NFTs, and anything that needs huge throughput. But it wasn't designed for banks or regulated money movement. Ripple, on the other hand, was built from the ground up for payments. The XRP ledger settles in 3 to 5 seconds, handles multiple currencies, and plugs into banking systems with compliance built in. It's already working with central banks and licensed around the world. If Solana is the blockchain for the next generation of apps, Ripple is the blockchain for the next generation of finance. Both have a role, but when it comes to banks and cross-border payments, Ripple is the one built for the job. Okay, so this is coming off of the back of the news of obviously the Solana and Western Union announcements, right? Now we've got King Solomon here, and he's put this. Keep in mind, roughly 75% of Solana TPS is just a network counting its own vote traffic. No other network does this or had to invent its own scalability metric, so the number ends up looking bigger than real user demand or capability. I'd say Hedera is interesting to look at for scalability. It has already processed billions of verifiable on-chain events, and the architecture can scale horizontally with sharding. No fixed ceiling, it is built to scale like cloud infrastructure rather than one giant machine. It splits workloads across native services, in brackets HTS for tokens, HTS for data, smart contracts only when needed, instead of pushing everything through one pipeline. No arguments on XRPL for payments, in agreement. Solana deserves props for retail traction. Hard to argue with the numbers. I just hope the industry keeps evolving beyond speculation and casino style apps. There is way more to build here. Okay, so this is what I thought was interesting in regards to Solana, because, you know, obviously we've had this whole thing come out about Solana with the Western Union partnership. And yeah, look, I said this before. First and foremost, I can just be completely honest here. I know doing HBAR content, I think XRP is the better choice. In all honesty, I do think XRP personally is just the best choice for this type of use case because XRP is the bridge currency. I do personally just think that is the better option in my personal opinion. That's just me being transparent with you guys. But even in regards to HBAR for me would definitely be the better pick over Solana as well though. And, you know, like I've explained this before, but the reason why I didn't get into Solana at the beginning was because of the outages and the downtime that it would keep having. For me, I was like, that seems like a problem, right? That doesn't seem like a great option to me if the network keeps going down. So I didn't get into Solana when I could have. And yeah, I would have made a lot more money had I've got into Solana. But again, I made a decision based on what the metrics of the network can do and stuff rather than just like hype and speculation. So for the people who made money, I say congratulations to you. I think that's great that you made money. But if we're just talking from like the facts of what, you know, the network can do, from a longevity perspective, I do question it a bit, right? And like you've got here King Solomon, this is something I'll be honest with you, I wasn't aware of at the time. Like they, you know, count their own vote traffic, like they're making up their own metrics. So it does seem like Solana's kind of got it, you know, it's built up its own hype in a way, right? And just to add to this as well, this is another thing that I did hear about Solana. Now, again, I don't know if this is true. I just want to make that clear. So I'm not trying to say this as if it's a fact because I don't know for sure. But I did hear that with Solana, the reason why the price went up is because a lot of VCs got into Solana, and so they started pumping a lot of money into Solana to pump up the price to get more people attracted to it. And so if that is true, then Solana seems a bit like a house of cards to me, right? Because it seems like a lot of it is built on smoke and mirrors, right? Like you've got the fact that the network goes down a lot, has a lot of outages and stuff, a lot, because I've been aware of that because I've been around long enough when I've heard about it. You've got the fact that they count their own vote traffic, like they've made up their own metric for how they, make themselves look good for scalability wise. And then you've got the fact that it's possible, again, don't know for sure, it's possible that the way their price got propped up was because VC money was pumped into it. So when you take all these factors into consideration, it does kind of make you question, right? Like, Hedera to me is just the better choice. Like I have to look at this and think, I don't know if we're looking from a perspective of if Solana didn't pay for this partnership, because I did hear that they paid like $50 million for the partnership with Western Union. Whether that's true or not, I don't know for sure. It wouldn't surprise me because even, for example, Hedera, they do pay for partnerships. Like this isn't like uncommon, to be honest with you. So it really wouldn't surprise me if that's the case. And like, again, just me being transparent, if they did pay for the partnership, I've got no issue with that. Again, like Hedera have done it as well. So this isn't a thing to knock Solana if they have done that. That's fine. It does take away a bit of obviously what the partnership is, because it doesn't mean that they just decided they wanted to work with Solana. So obviously that changes things in that aspect. But in terms of just paying for the partnership, this is just a practice that's going on in crypto right now. I think they're still early, so a lot of them are paying to do like, test our network, and hopefully if you like it, you'll continue to work with us, that kind of thing. But like when we're talking from a technology standpoint, I just think it's quite clear that, I just think it's quite clear that Hedera is just the better option here. HBAR is the better option. And again, like, I've heard enough about Solana as to why I didn't invest in it. I'm invested in HBAR. I'm not invested in Solana. And I could have got into Solana before it really jumped up in price. So this is why, if I'll be honest with you, like when it did really rip in price, I was a bit like, well, what's going on? Because like, I was thinking, well, how is this happening just on a network that has so many issues? It's like, it was just a bit surprising to me. Not from like a jealousy aspect or anything like that. Like I was just trying to understand it, right? And don't get me wrong, again, like as King Solomon said here, like fair play to Solana. Like even if it is VC money and stuff, people have made money off of the back of it, so whatever. But my question is right now, like with these things in mind, are these things going to kind of bring Solana down in the long term, right? Like, is it a thing where, like the truth could get exposed about Solana and then it falls down, or it can't really stand up to the test properly, like for example, with Western Union doing this trial now with Solana. Let's just say if it was paid for, will they use Solana and think, well, this is terrible, like it's down half the time, you can't really scale, and then Western Union will just be like, well, yeah, we're not going to carry on using Solana anymore, like that's a bad network. So, this is where I have to say, like, I do think HBAR to me would be the better option. I think XRP is just the best option overall, just because it's a bridge currency. So it just acts as like a bridge neutral mechanisms where it can just transfer the currencies. Like with HBAR, it is like stablecoin based. But one thing I will say in that regard, like, and I've said this on a recent XRP video, like we are going into a world where stable coins is the narrative, to be honest with you. So like XRP is a bridge currency, it's not really being put forward the way it originally was. So if we are just talking about stable coins, then yeah, Hedera is a great choice, so that's just full transparency there. I hope people don't take that as me being like negative to Hedera or HBAR. I'm a HBAR holder. It's just me being completely open and honest. But yeah, overall, I don't really get why Western Union would have gone with Solana. Because to me, like, if you're not going to pick XRP, why not HBAR? And I said this with, Swift going with Ethereum. Why not HBAR? Like, I don't get it. Like, I don't understand it. Like, that would be a way better option than Ethereum. But look, time will tell, right? Like, if this is a paid for deal, partnership, apparently it was for, I think it said 6 months exclusivity, if that was right. So if that is true, eventually that deal will end and, Western Union can decide who they want to go with, because Western Union used to have a deal with Ripple and XRP. That was back in like 2018, I believe, or something like that. So, these things can come and go. It doesn't mean that they're going to stay on Solana, or they could expand onto other chains as well. So it could be that, you know, HBAR gets a look in later on, further down the line. But yeah, just interesting to see this about Solana, because there's a few things now that I've seen about Solana where I'm like, that's a little bit shady. Like, I'm hearing a few things where I'm like, that's a bit weird. Do you know what I mean? And like, you know, as King Solomon said, I think he said it great at the end where he said, you know, I hope the industry keeps evolving beyond just the speculation and casino style apps. I agree. Like, I think, you know, this is the thing right now. We're still in the wild, wild west of crypto. Regulations are starting to come through, so that's cleaning it up a bit more. But it's still very speculative. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the thing. Like, we're not at that point yet where it's clear that the adoption is coming because of the networks that are, you know, providing the great utility or has, you know, the great requirements to do the things that they need them to do. So I think when we get to that point, that's when you'll start to see which networks have the longevity and which don't. And in my opinion, HBAR will be there. That's my opinion. So I don't have like concerns with this overall, because I still think that long term HBAR will be fine, and I think it will be heavily adopted. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, like I do find this stuff interesting, because I do want to, like, I just want to know the truth. Like, if I was to find out that Solana was this great network, I'd just accept that, you know, because as I say, like, I'm not just in HBAR anyway, so I can accept that there's other cryptos that I've got into that I think are good too. Like, I'm not just like, hey, it's only HBAR, that's great. I can be objective here. Do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, as I was saying before, like, XRP is better for payments, but Hedera is better for smart contracts, right? XRP doesn't really have native smart contract capability, so Hedera is better than XRP for that. So it's all about picking different things for different reasons, right? And, you know, HBAR is the most carbon friendly network out there. So if you're looking for that perspective, yeah, Hedera is the network, right? So this is what I mean. But I think, in my opinion personally, like, Hedera beats Solana. That's from my perspective. So yeah, I just thought I'd share this with you. But interesting, and I think long term, like, as I say, we'll get to a point where the true winners will emerge, you know, because at the moment it is a lot of hype and it is paid and stuff like that, but eventually it will come down to networks just using the cryptos that they think are the better ones, and I think that's when we'll see who really comes out on top, and in my opinion, Hedera will be there. Thank you very much for watching this. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and hit that bell. Take care.